podcast, you guys. So excited to be here. As always, I aim to bring you educational content that is relevant. And I have been on this roll lately of healthy homes, healthy environments, everything that affects every single one of our lives, our homes, and all of the above. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many protocols you're doing, how healthy your labs tell you are, or what water you're drinking, what food you're eating. It doesn't matter if the environment that you're in is making you sick and you don't even know it. So today, we're going to talk about something that affects all of us. We all know about air quality, mold, water, EMFs, the whole 9 yards. It's such a thing right now, and I'm so here for it that I decided, you know what, let me bring on one of the best, someone that I respect tremendously that I met through social media. Recently did some collaboration with him, and you guys, he is my go-to when it comes to anything healthy homes. So today we get to talk to Jonathan with JF Healthy Homes. I said it right, Jonathan, this
You
time.
nailed it. You nailed
And
it.
we're going to talk about healthy homes, his story, and everything in between. So, Jonathan, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Tammy. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor. And I don't
Yeah.
deserve those kind words, but I'll take them. Thank you.
Dude, anytime anybody wants to brag about me, I'm not going to stop them mid sentence, right? So
Absolutely.
you're based out of Nashville, right? And I know that you're very involved in the community. You're involved, your business started recently, so you're fairly new, but you've just taken off like wildfire. So let's talk a little bit about what first got you into this space. We all have our pain to purpose story, and I am going to venture to guess what limited information I know, you have a pain to purpose story because otherwise, nobody just decides to get into healthy homes without having a health issue, right?
Yeah.
So, what first got you into healthy homes?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right about that. Like everyone I've studied with, all the people I've come into contact with, yourself included, it's always that drive from a personal struggle, right? Or family struggle. So that's the same for my case. I grew up in California, I live in Tennessee now, as you said, in Nashville. But I grew up in a house in Southern California. It was a beautiful old plaster 1920s home with a whole ton of mold in it. And that was just normal. Like growing up, I had all these symptoms. I had OCD since ever I could remember, anxiety, depression. And it just took a while. Like I credit my brother because he's really my brother's 3 years older. He's the one who really started going down and learning about naturopathic medicine, seeing people like Dr. Susser and Dr. Thoring out there in California. And so finally, I got to the point where I ended up getting treated and going on Shoemaker protocol about 15 years ago, while still living in a moldy environment with no remediation done because it was my parents' house and you know how that goes sometimes. So I was doing a lot better. And then they decided they wanted to be more energy efficient and install solar panels. Which I am a
Oh,
fan of solar panels, but I'm not a fan of the dirty electricity and the EMR, EMF, EMI aspect of them. And that immediately tanked my health. I became depressed. I wanted to unalive myself, like just complete anxiety. My OCD was ramped up beyond belief. I couldn't sleep. And I started, I share with you, I started praying a lot because I was like, okay, this is the end. It's this, or I'm gonna call it quits. Luckily, I'd met my now wife back then, and she helped me through it. But one day, I just woke up and decided, you know what? I need to look at the EMF and the electricity. I truly believe that was from God. I don't think that was my own human perception or of my own making. And sure enough, it was the solar panels. The inverters were spitting out a massive amount of dirty electricity that the meter couldn't even register. It was so high. And once I abated that a bit, I was able to kind of bring myself back to baseline. Moved out here to Tennessee about 4 years ago into another moldy house. Then I had a daughter, 6-month-old daughter, who was just getting super ill, and that's really what drove me to turn this into a pain to purpose pursuit and to help other families nationwide, worldwide, all over.
it's crazy because just hearing that, there's so many things that cross my mind when I hear your story. And the first I hear is, here we are as consumers, especially when purchasing a home, thinking, wow, let's get solar. Like, let's save some money on our electricity bill. Absolutely, let's get solar. And we know, as a real estate agent, I can tell you, the solar companies. It's no joke. They're not very easy to work with. They're not yet. Do they disclose any of this, right? Is it in the fine print when it comes to it's a hazard to your health, right?
Yep.
Because the consumer just doesn't stop to think about, oh, wait, we're going to have this electricity bolting through the home and it's going to cause, issues with me, my children, or all of the above, right? So I just find that so fascinating that something like that, seemingly innocent, is what caused you to go down this trajectory, right? And I've
Yep.
shared with you previously, some clients that I've helped with healthy homes, their young child was sick and they couldn't figure out why. And lo and behold, her headboard was up against the Wi-Fi router, right? Simple changes like that
Yeah.
that make all the difference in our health. So I'm sorry you went through that, but I'm grateful you did because now you're here. Now JF Homes, Healthy Homes is in existence and there's such
Thank
a
you.
need for it. So what do you feel like the biggest misconception people have about mold? What do you think it is?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions that I run into a lot and that I had myself even was that there's always a sign, right? There's always a symptom, there's always a sign. You're going to look for bubbling, you're going to look for cracking, you're going to look for staining. But I'm here to tell you after 250 plus homes within a year, that is never the case, almost never the case. Of course, there are some signs sometimes, but the majority of the times it's what's hidden, right? And that's not to
Right.
be frightful or to strike fear into people, but it's just to create like some more understanding that you don't have to wait for signs and symptoms to tell you that you're sick or that your environment is unhealthy, right? And that's the
Right.
same with EMF. It's invisible, right? You can
Right.
see a lot of the devices and whatnot, but measuring it's a different story. So the invisible can still make you ill, right? And that's I think why it's so hard and why all of our clients almost and why I had such a challenge to convince people around me that I was ill because it's these invisible things, right? I mean, that house had water staining, but even then it wasn't a big thing. So,
So speaking of hidden mold, so what are some of the obvious signs? I mean, I know what they are, right? But if
yeah.
somebody's living in it, what are some signs of hidden mold?
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes down to like the health aspect, right? And of course, this is where it gets tricky too, right? Because it's using a lot of discernment. Like discernment, I feel like is the word that I keep coming back to in all of this because there's so much like craziness, so much noise, such an echo chamber around all of this, especially on social media. Some of it's fantastic. A lot of it is just fearful and
Yeah.
sales pitches and whatnot. So I mean, paying attention to your health is very important, getting testing done, doing things like SIRS panels, working with a practitioner who understands SIRS and MCAS and EHS and all these different aspects, pivotal, right? Because
Right.
we're the house doctor side of it, right? But we need an actual doctor, a medical practitioner who understands the actual health outcomes to be able to really heal.
Yeah.
If we heal the home and the body's not healed, then we have an imbalance, and it's vice versa. If the body's healed and the home is not healed, they work synonymously. So
Yeah.
we have to coexist with that environment because it's an extension of ourselves and of our health. So
Yeah.
paying attention to that, not gaslighting people, and also understanding like we come into this time and time again with families where I become a therapist or a couples therapist because one person feels great and the other person feels terrible, and I get caught in the middle. And it's like understanding that we have different biology, that we have different DNA, and that these symptoms are going to present themselves differently in every single person,
Yeah.
and the common thread usually is the mom and the children.
Yep.
That's usually where those symptoms are shared. And typically guys, how guys being guys are like, I feel fine, I feel great, it's just a little mold. Some guys not. I was not that way, and I run into husbands who are sick, and their wives or children are completely fine. So it goes both ways, but just being open to it, and I think that's why I'm so grateful for the good information that people like yourself are spreading, and that is being disseminated on social media because it's combating a lot of the fear and a lot of the echo chamber of negativity.
And I know a lot of, everybody's, they present their symptoms differently, right? For me, I go onto a full allergy attack. I mean, before I knew that I was living in mold, my eyes were always red and itching and runny. They always looked like they had like a dark circles under my eyes. I always had skin issues. I can always tell when I'm walking into a room where there's mold, whether it's
Yep.
slight or subtle or what have you. My skin starts to itch, this very deep itch, right? It's not just a surface itch. It's like, okay, this is like mold. There's something, a fungal, there's something going on in here. So everybody presents differently. What would you say the top three indications of mold are if you really have no clue? Like you said, some husbands are like, whatever, it's just mold, right? Besides the moisture stains, besides the obvious, like what are some things somebody who hasn't, they really don't have a clue, what would they look for?
Yeah, I think using olfactory senses is very important, right? Like actually smelling, like doing kind of tolerance testing, going to different environments, taking sometimes we say like a mold vacation, right? Going
Yeah.
away and then coming back to your environment and taking a note of how you feel. Paying attention to things like that. So your senses, not just visual cues, but obviously like there's obvious areas we want to look under: wet rooms, vanities, behind fridges, stuff like that, crawl spaces, attics, big ones. But using the senses, using your bodily senses too. And I'm the same way, right? Like I'll go into a room and I can almost immediately, kind of like a mold dog, I can kind of
Oh,
tell like immediately if it's a moldy environment, and it's a superpower, kind of a blessing and a curse. But not everyone is that way, you know. So paying attention to that, paying attention to your skin. I know we talked about the face, like what Dr. Papa talks about, looking at the eyes, looking at the teeth, looking at these different areas that surface level might seem superficial, but that's our body detoxing a lot of these things, or
right.
trying to detox a lot of these things. So allergy symptoms, respiratory, itchiness, like you said, eczema, all the names for what do you call it? Diagnoses that are given in typical Western medicine that are actually just symptoms of something, and it's a deeper root cause. Those are the things to really look at and understand. These are just symptoms. These are not diagnoses, and that's speaking from being gaslit from myself to my wife to my daughter to my son. Oh, it's just eczema. Oh, it's just seasonal allergies. These are not. We need to reframe that mode of thinking into understanding that these are actual manifestations of the environment in our body. It's
Yeah.
showing itself through our body and through these responses. So we need to
Yeah.
look at the root cause, look at
You
the
know what's
environment.
interesting, Jonathan, is sometimes just for fun, if I'm having a flare of any sort, I'll go to a dermatologist just to see what they're going to tell me and what they're going to. And I did this yesterday because I just got my My
I love
Myco
you.
Lab. Yeah, I just got my My Myco Lab test, getting ready to do that to test for
Yeah.
mycotoxins again. And I know what the triggers are, but I'm like, you know what? Let me just make an appointment with my dermatologist and just see what
Yep.
they say. Sure enough, I sit down, I go, okay, this is what I'm presenting. They look at it and they go, yeah, it's very subtle. It could be, a combination of sebderm, or it could be rosacea. And I go, so what causes that? Do you think it's the gut? And well, there aren't any real, cases out there. Unfortunately, it's just chronic. You're just going to have to
Oh.
deal with it. Here, I'm going to make sure you have multiple prescriptions of
Yep.
A, B, and C cream and A, B, and C shampoo. And if it doesn't work, then you can come back and get a steroid shot. That was
Yep.
my appointment. And I was laughing, saying to myself, these people have no clue,
Yep.
none. And I know how to fix it, right? But every now and again, just to confirm my suspicion that Western medicine has absolutely no clue, because they don't. They haven't figured it out yet because they're still practicing medicine. They haven't figured it out yet,
Yep.
right?
100%.
So I just feel like every now and again we have to remind ourselves that we are on the right path. And, every now and
Yep.
again we have to do that to remind ourselves. So let's talk a little bit about a super hot topic, because EMFs are not just limited to your phones, they're not just limited to your Wi Fi. EMFs are legit everywhere, right?
Yep.
And nothing pains me more than when I see someone with their phone in their back pocket,
Oof.
or
Yeah.
put their phone on their legs, or they put their phone up to their ear, or for crying out loud, sleeping with your phone right next to you
Oh boy.
charging. Like
Yep.
that pains me so much. And you can only lead a horse to water so much, right?
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about one thing people should know without overcomplicating it, because EMFs, you can kind of get into the whole, it can get kind of funky if you don't know what
Yep.
you're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot to it. It's a very kind of complex but also convoluted topic, and it's of course a lot of it's hidden. The same forces we're talking about with Western medicine. And I do like a lot of Western medicine. I didn't mean to hate on that. Like I think there's a lot of great things that have come out of it, but it's the whole
Absolutely.
balance thing, right? So
Yeah.
with EMF, it's getting talked about a lot more, and I'm really grateful for that too. Things like social media and a lot of these nonprofits are doing a lot of work to show studies, but as that's happening, the amount of frequency and the level and the density of the frequency is just getting higher and higher and higher, and nothing's getting faster. Um, so I think, there's a lot of confusion around it. Like you said, it gets reduced to just Wi-Fi, cell towers, these different kind of things, cell phone and your smart meters. That's what people know because that's kind of what social media has parroted and kind of what the whole overlay has been for a while. But EMF, without getting too complicated, is multifaceted, right? It's all the wiring in our walls, it's current, it's voltage, it's dirty electricity. Like there's so many different aspects to it. And without overwhelming people, like a few simple things you can do, like you said, keep your phone away from you, keep it on airplane mode if you can, turn off Wi-Fi, turn off Bluetooth, actually go in and turn those off. Don't just hit the button on there. Turn off Find My iPhone. Do not sleep with
Mm,
it next to you. Do not charge it next to you. Matter of fact, unplug all things from your bed at least 6 to 8 feet because that's spitting off electric fields, right? Leading to your higher body voltages. And then check, have an EMRS, electromagnetic radiation specialist like myself, come in and do a evaluation. Make sure you don't have wiring errors. Make sure you don't have massive things in the house, but things you can do very simply for yourself are those, and you can definitely just get a timer switch off Amazon, $10, set it to when you're sleeping and just have that shut off. If you can't shut off your Wi-Fi, they sell bags that lower the amount of
yeah.
frequency and you can still connect to it. August from Tech Wellness, she has some great stuff that you can use to hardwire or mitigate electricity. So there's so much out there you can do, and they're not it's not super expensive or complicated things. If you want to get more complicated, that's when I would say go to an EMRS or
Yeah.
an EMF aware electrician to get those things dialed in. But it's
Right.
a very expansive and can get very complex in so many different ways. So
And just note to self for those of you watching and listening, some of these are not DIY projects. Some of these you cannot do on
correct.
your own. For example, you cannot remediate your own mold situation. Clorox is not going to do it, right? At
Yep.
some point, you have to call in the specialist and remediate the mold. EMFs is the same thing. This is not a DIY situation. You have to,
Yep.
if it presents itself enough where you have enough wherewithal to say, "Hey, the EMFs in my house are causing problems with our health," that's when you call somebody like Jonathan in to take care of this, right? So that's that. This is not DIY. If somebody only had $500 to make their home healthier, what's the first thing you would tell them to do?
Hmm. That's such a tricky one because I wanna say so many different things, but I wanna say, like, water, number 1, and
Yeah.
you and I have talked about that importance of
Yeah.
that. Shout out to Ophora. So
Thank
I
you.
think a water system, absolutely, it's my favorite water. Um,
I'll make
I
sure
would
you
say
have
that.
a lot of cases of water.
Thank you, thank you. I brought a bunch down to Surzex, and it was
Oh,
holy to have that with me, so I appreciate you on that.
perfect.
Kept me
Yeah.
going. So I would say a good, water system under the sink or even a countertop with that amount of money.
Mm,
Maybe get a meter, an all-in-one EMF meter, and then you can hire someone like myself. We do virtual consultations and have people walk through the meter. You could even do it yourself. There's a lot of resources out there. So those 2 things. With mold, you'd be kinda hard pressed. I mean, you could do like a Swiffer test, ERMI, you
yeah.
could do endotoxin. Fixing it, of course, is a different story, and that's where we have a lot of trouble, right? And a lot of the hang up is in cost and financial strain. So, yeah, I would say start with the water and the EMFs. Those are 2 pretty low cost a lot of times things,
What
or at
about
least they
petri
have entry
dishes?
level.
What about
Petri
petri
dishes can
dishes?
be
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
they can be good. The caveats with petri dishes, and I like them. I like agar plates or agar plates. Some people pronounce it differently. They use different materials in that actual agar, right? So different molds will favor those materials differently, right? And there's so many variables, there's so many um kind of different things that can cross contaminate or can change the skew of those cultured plates that they're not like a great representation exactly of the environment. Touch
Mm,
samples a little bit better. We actually
mhm.
started sending in cultural analysis for some clients for different reasons or different, scenarios where we actually send a swab or a tape lift or even a Swiffer test to the lab and then they culture it for us. And I prefer that because they have control, right? It's in a controlled environment, it's in a certain temperature, and it's locked away for a few weeks so it can grow. And then they analyze it and send you the exact molds, the species, how many, etc. So I think it's
Wow.
a good starting place for people.
Yeah.
But if I were to recommend one testing that if you're trying to find hidden mold, it would be Pathways. That's John Banta's Restcon. Great stuff. And he just told me about some really cool stuff that they're implementing there. So that's a great way to do it. ERMI is great. Endotoxin, Swiffer testing, all those are great examples too. So,
I love
but
that.
yeah,
And
it's all good data.
yeah, and it's super easy for the consumer to digest that information, right? Because it's not overwhelming.
Correct.
I feel like the layperson can understand it. I mean, especially, and mold is such a, I mean, again, it's such a broad topic, but even your dog walking in from outside can drag mold in on their paws. I mean,
Yep.
it's simple things, you guys. And again, there's no fear mongering here. This is just what it is. This is the world we live in. What's one crazy, or what's the craziest thing you've ever discovered during a home inspection?
Oh, man, the other day, I think this last weekend, I was in a crawl space and I found a couple salamanders down there. That was pretty wild. Yeah, that's probably I mean, I found dead raccoons, birds yesterday. I found 2 dead birds in an attic. I mean, you find animals. I found 4 snake skins, massive snake skins in an attic and a crawl space, and I was just ready
Whoa.
to encounter a snake. That kinda stuff gets me excited, though, because it kinda gets sometimes you get a little in your mind and you're wearing a mask, you're getting hypoxia, and you're like, "If I could see a snake right now, that'd actually be pretty cool." Yeah.
It would make it worth it, right? It would
Yeah.
make this whole thing worth
Like,
it.
it's
Now, are
it's a
you
good
in a
story, you
hazmat
know?
suit? Yeah, are you in a
Yep.
hazmat suit? Yeah, okay.
Yep, I usually wear coveralls, usually Tyvek, full mask. I've been doing a half mask lately because it's so hot.
Yeah.
Really, really difficult to wear a full respirator. I mean, they have papers and stuff that supply air, but EMF, big magnetic fields from those, so I try to avoid those. So take breaks, but yeah, it's tough because those suits and those masks that you cannot breathe. Your body cannot breathe. It's a sweatsuit. So that's my
So
sauna.
God, there's a health benefit to it somehow. So, Jonathan, with all of this stuff that you are exposed to in your own health journey, how do you continue to protect yourself? When this is your living, right? The very thing that got you into this business is the very thing that you protect yourself from. So, what's one thing that you do consistently to protect yourself from chronic illness resurfacing? I mean, it's hard to say because chronic illness is chronic illness, right? But how do you protect yourself?
I know, isn't that funny? The juxtaposition of, like, getting ill
Yeah.
and then God putting me in this path, and I'm just like, "I'll
Yeah.
take it," you know?
Yeah.
Um, it's a lot, like we talked about, I have a great provider here, Katie Hendon, I have the biotoxin lady, Dr. Dorninger, they all help a lot with implementing things like cholestyramine. I'm not giving anyone medical advice, but for me, it works great. Call is another great binder. But being on a binder is essential in this line of work. Like, you cannot do it without being on a binder, and as much as that sucks, it just is it's the case, and having other things, like I use Alivea a lot, I like their stuff a lot, Immune and Limitless, that's all cofactors and
Yeah.
support for my body. Getting enough sleep, getting enough rest, trying to make sure my home environment is as clean as possible, so the times I'm sleeping and resting, and not just with mold or biotoxins, but with EMF, I have a very low EMF environment because I'm getting exposed to it and I have EHS, electro hypersensitivity. So balancing that out, detoxing, sweating, grounding outside, not on a grounding mat, getting sunshine, sweating and getting those detox pathways open. But working with a practitioner has been really, really pivotal in that regard because a lot of it you order these things for yourself or you
Yeah.
you need labs, right? I'm about to redo my SIRS lab. So
Same.
all that's important, and you
Yeah.
need you need a team of people to help you, and it just kind of is what it is. And at some point, I'll probably step back and be more of the guy on the back end handling stuff. But for right now, I really enjoy doing this work, and I get sick from time to time. I make mistakes, I clean something the wrong way, or I take my mask off before my suit, and it hits me.
Yeah.
So it's important to know how to recover and to have those tools in your back pocket to prophylactically, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Prophylactically, right?
Yeah.
Utilize
Proactively. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
proactively, yeah,
Yeah.
so that you can protect your health. And then on top of that, my family's health, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
like if I have to be very careful after an assessment to clean all of my tools for not for just my family's health, for my client's health too, right? To not cross contaminate, to not wear a suit into a crawl space and then come back into the house where I've seen inspectors do before, and I just shake my head and just I'm baffled. But to protect my family too, right? So bringing samples home, I never bring those inside, right? It's
Yeah.
always in a lockbox, airtight lockbox. We have to look at them. We have to open it. We wear a mask, wear gloves, look at them, write down all the samples. So a lot goes into it that I think people don't see, and I'll
Yeah.
probably make some reels and stuff about it to show like the back end. My wife is like a godsend for all of that because she handles all of that, and it's a whole other side of what we do.
Yeah.
So it's important to protect ourselves in all regards.
It takes a village for us to do what we do because we're so face forward, right? Our
Yep.
brand and our company is so face forward that, and I almost feel like people, our followers, the general public feel like, okay, they have such a healthy view of things and they have a healthy way of doing things and this is what they espouse, that when we get sick, I don't know if you struggle with this or not, but I tend to go, well, can I share this with my followers? Because here I am, touting about health and now I'm sick. But that's when I decided, no, God gave you a voice and you're going through this for a reason. And if you help one person because of you sharing, then it's all that we need to do, right? So I'm happy that you're transparent about it. I'm very vocal about my journey. And if it helps one person, right, that's what really matters.
I love
One
that.
question, yeah, one question before we wrap up. What's one healthy habit that someone should do immediately?
Ooh, get rid of the EMFs in the bedroom.
Oh
Phone
gosh.
on
For sure.
airplane mode, away from you, unplug things around your bed. I just gave 3, I'm sorry, you said 1, and here
No,
I am.
they're all related though, because again, we said this previously. The phone, I mean, just sitting in my hand right now, and if you're sensitive to it, you can feel it. My body starts to shake, and I actually get these like numbing
Yep,
this tingling sensation. It's the EMFs, people.
it is.
That's such a simple hack.
It
Okay,
is.
I've got some rapid fire questions for you.
Yes.
Air purifier or humidifier?
Ooh, air purifier for sure.
Oh, here's my favorite. I know the answer. Shoes on or off in the house?
Oh, off 100%. Outside the
10,000%.
door, don't even bring them inside.
Dude, and not even like I put it in my bags before I go anywhere. Just keep it in the bag away
Yes.
from everything.
Yep.
Biggest mold myth.
That the signs have to be obvious for you to have mold.
Oh, for sure. For
Yep.
sure. One product every homeowner should own.
Ooh, I think the air purifier, I really like air purifiers. I think
Yeah.
they're a great tool, and especially if you can't get to remediation immediately, they're a good, Band-Aid in the meantime, but overall, just purifying the air is super important.
Yeah.
CO2 monitor, let's go that. I think that's a little bit underrated. CO2 monitor to make sure that you're not amping up your CO2 while you're sleeping in your bedroom. Open some windows, get some airflow, get some ventilation. I think that's and they're cheap. They're like
Yeah.
30 bucks.
Yep.
So get one on Amazon and maybe that's not exactly accurate, but they're pretty good. I'm looking at one on my desk right now. So,
Then there's simple moves like that make all the difference.
yep.
This is
And
going to be a good answer. I can't wait to hear this answer.
let,
Coffee
let
or
me add one.
energy? Yeah.
So let me add. So on that CO2 monitor, you can get them that have hygrometer or hygrometrics on it. So it
Okay.
has the humidity and the temperature too. So I'd recommend that as well because those are also two important things to look at.
What brand that someone could look up?
The one I have is a temp top. It's not
Okay.
fantastic. It's not super expensive. I heard AirNet is really good, but they're kind of
Okay.
pricey. But yeah, temp top is pretty good.
Perfect. One last question. Coffee or energy drink on inspection days?
I'll be honest, in full transparency, I do both. I try to do healthier energy drinks. I'm an energy fiend, as you can see. I got my coffee here, but I try to go like Juno, or just
Yeah.
ingredients, something a little bit
Yeah.
healthier with no sucralose and Ace K and all the other stuff in there. But man, it's tough. I would say if you're going coffee, mold free, shout out Seek Coffee. That's my favorite. If you're going energy drink, make sure it's a clean one, Juno or Just Ingredients. I'm sure there's a couple others out there
So
too.
you're not gonna like give a shout out to Celsius or Monster or anything like that?
I'll be honest, I from time to time, I do enjoy a Celsius, so don't judge me, guys. I know it's
No.
terrible. I feel terrible when I drink them. I'm amped up and I'm like, this is like a drug in a bottle, and it probably is, but
And there's
but
nothing good about that,
there
and
isn't.
it
It's
it's
terrible.
but they do taste good for what they're,
They
what
do.
they're intended for.
Yep,
Well, I
yep,
really am happy that you finally came on. I'm glad we did this. So where can someone connect with you if they want to? Because I know you work nationwide. Where can
I
someone
do.
connect with you if they want you to do a home inspection, if they want to work with you? How do they get in
Yeah.
touch with you?
Yeah, you guys can reach out, jfhealthyhomes.com, jfhealthyhomes.com. You can go to work with us on that page and fill out an intake form. That's the quickest way to get a response. Our team will reach out and connect with you, get your proposal, and then get you on the schedule from there.
Wonderful. And your Instagram is what again? JF Healthy Homes?
Yep, at
That's it.
JF Healthy Homes. Yep,
Yep.
absolutely.
And if you guys, for some reason, didn't hear any of that, reach out to me. I'll make sure you get connected with them. But everyone needs someone like Jonathan in their life. At some point or another, you will need someone who is a building biologist who does nothing but this every day. Whether it's for a small job or a big job, it doesn't matter. They're all significant because your home, your environment will make or break the rest of your life. Again, as we started the show, you can do all the right things. You can drink the right water, drink the right Kool-Aid, you can drink all of it, eat the good stuff. But if your home environment, take it from me, take it from Jonathan, if it is not dialed in, you will be chronically ill for the rest of your life. And that is not a fear-mongering statement. That is just the facts. That is a truth because our environments are making us sick. So, Jonathan, I praise you for the work you're doing. Thank you for heeding the call. Thank you for going through what you've gone through. I'm sorry it happened, but thank you for
Thank you.
turning this into your life's mission. We need more of you in the world. Keep working hard. Keep doing all the things that you're doing. I appreciate you. And guys, if you need a really, really good, healthy home specialist, he's your guy. End of
Thank you
story.
so much. I appreciate you greatly. Reflections to you as well. Love the work you do and so grateful to be connected.